Hello, everyone. I'm Deborah Grant. It's really great to be with you today, at least via video. I'll be here tomorrow morning to join all of you starting Monday morning. But video is great, right? We've used it a lot this year, and we're finding that one thing from the pandemic is we're using video more and more, and it's really creating a good alternative sometimes, just like in a case like this. Well, it's been a great year so far. We had a lot going on, as you can imagine, and it's been a very different year this year compared to last year. As far as the magazine goes, we had one issue come out in spring. We've got one on the way right now for summer. And so the magazine is building back up after a couple of years of scant staffing and lots of other things to take care of, and all working remotely, and all the reasons why we just soldiered on. Like Reagan says, keep calm and brainstorm, which we did a lot of over those 2 years just to keep it all going. And it's been a very meaningful time as well, but it's so nice to have people together again and to be here in person for sure. So as far as the magazine goes, we've added a lot. We've had more time. I've been able to uh, be a part of the organization again officially as part-time. And so I've added some features to the magazine. We've built up our articles more and more. One focus for me had been to really increase hard tech, because when first joining OATUG a couple of years ago, it seemed like we were sometimes criticized for not being as tech oriented as, say, some of the other organizations out there, and just wanted to make sure that we're remaining really respectable and leading edge in terms of our technical content. However, we have many members, as Reagan has pointed out and encouraged me to uh, answer to, in terms of other professionals who are not IT people, HR, leadership, uh, financial people, all of the other roles that are played in an organization. There's so many people that are our members who interface with us who are not really on the tech teams. So we will be increasing more of those kinds of articles and content, and I would actually encourage all of you to think of ways you could contribute to the magazine by talking about some of the, for example, HR challenges and the way you've solved problems in your organizations that may involve tech. Certainly all of our lives involve tech most of the time now, but have other points to make, perhaps in terms of the people relationships, and how you've solved problems in terms of perhaps the way you pace projects and how they're rolled out. There's so many topics that for professional development we would like to pursue in the magazine as well. In terms of the magazine, we had a huge surge in the page views. The unique page views went up 76%. And I can't claim all glory for that one, because all across the board, the website increased in visitors and views. However, I'd say that certainly for the magazine, James and I did an interview together, and James Louis is a great communicator. So we had about 500 views on that video. So this is a good example of how video being used in communication now, it can be done pretty quickly. Editing now is so user friendly. I do a lot of that for the magazine, but it's not adding a lot of time to the production. In fact, it actually shortens sometimes, in some cases, the time frame that we have to communicate a lot of content. You can sometimes do that using video. So I'd like for all of us to be thinking of the best ways that we could use it going forward in terms of communicating the kinds of topics and ideas that you'd really like to see more of in the magazine. For this coming issue for summer, I interviewed Leah Brown, and that was a great interview. I had such a good time talking to Leah. It's so interesting to find out about how Oracle is being used in different industries, and she really gave us a great amount of detail on exactly how that's helping her organization, which was exciting. So you'll be seeing that. The winter issue, I'd love to invite Diane Deneza for that one, because as president-elect, people will want to know who you are before you come in as president starting January of next year. And so we still have one issue, the fall issue. So whoever would like to volunteer, please let me know who would like to be the interviewee for this next one, because I did want to cover as many board members as I could. And even if it's not a longer interview like the one that I'm doing for the magazine as part of the main feature, there may be other short pieces that you would like to add, have me ask you a couple of questions on different topics that you're interested in. So feel free to reach out to me anytime with ideas that you might have. The website overall had a lot more visitors this year, and we do want to keep the momentum going. So the benefits for being a member is what the magazine is all about, and so many of the other things that Karen has been incredible in marketing, putting on webinars, marketing the webinars. Amelia, Lindsay Wisdom, Lauren, we have a great team, and it's pretty amazing how for such a few number of people, we're able to churn out the amazing amount of content that we do. But the website definitely keeps growing. Karen, I'm sure, will tell you more about that. But the magazine is, the way we look at it, an asset for building membership. Once they pay the membership, certainly they can watch a lot of webinars, but we also invite others from the outside to watch for free. They can access the knowledge base and so on. But it's one of those big assets that we have. We want to keep building on that. And now I'll move a little bit to the international topic. And as you know, I'm the editor at large of Insight, but also the international liaison. And Reagan has been super supportive as editor of the magazine and as someone who comments on what I do for international. She's always been from day one so supportive about any of our international activities. And in fact, OATUG as a team, I think, has a tremendous amount of sophistication, really, compared to many American organizations I've seen, in terms of the ability to conceptualize what it is to reach out to international groups and to grow that, not just for membership and for conference attendees, but just in terms of the long-term, very long game when it comes to a certain type of diplomacy almost that you want now in this world regarding what we represent, which is a major technology platform that's being utilized all over the world in governments all over the world. And the more we get into it together, I think the more we see that slowly but surely international is increasing. It hasn't increased our take in terms of economics as much or as quickly, but in my experience, that has always been the long game with international anyway. It's sort of a diplomatic effort in terms of being there to befriend, to learn, to develop the research and knowledge of what those partners may want. One example of that is with Romania. One of the DOAG members introduced me to Marcella, who was, I think, pretty active probably in getting a lot of signups from Romania. Certainly in this year where there's been so much conflict and so much going on, we're looking for ways to build relationships. So I think just purely for the idea that international is this long game of relationship building, where when the time comes, we can provide opportunities for each other. And I do think that will eventually turn into additional income for OATUG. Reagan has probably shared this with you already, but at Ascend this year, 42 states, United States, 8 Canadian provinces, and 24 other countries are here. And we have a large virtual participation. And I believe probably because of the pandemic, forevermore, we may have always a virtual presence in a big international event or a big annual event such as ours. In terms of international, I think one of the most exciting things for me was a language that I'm not familiar with. I wish I were. I speak Japanese, as you all probably know by now, but I'm not a Spanish speaker and wish I were. Gustavo Gonzalez, who's on the board, helped us with a pilot, which is to add subtitles to one of the webinars. It was a Cliff Godwin recap update from last year. So we ran that through our translation software. He checked it for us. We put it up on the website. For the United States, Spanish is a second language, and we would like to be able to reach out to Central and South American countries that may be interested in participating more in what we do here as well. So next, to talk a little bit about Japan. Japan OATUG has been a partner of ours for many years. Actually, that relationship was started by Jaylene Bermudez, who is our president of Meeting Expectations. And so we have a long relationship with them, but we're really still in the very early stages of developing that relationship. This year, they added an ERP EPM Cloud SIG group, which took a lot of work and was a big milestone for them. In fact, we're 30 years into this relationship, apparently, but I only came on a couple of years ago to pick up on that and get to know it really from, I guess, the beginning or the middle of 2020 in the pandemic. I was assigned that role, and which was a lovely thing for me because during those pandemic years, I got to stay connected with Japan. And now soon we will be able to travel again, finally. And believe me, I'm planning to get there as soon as I can, hopefully sometime this year. In addition to them starting an ERP EPM Cloud SIG group, they also invited Nadia Benjidou and had a really successful live webinar with her. And that was very special for them. They did a beautiful job hosting that webinar, and we'll be able to actually add that to our website, probably with Nadia's permission, that is, but after Ascend, because some of those topics she was introducing for the first time, and she didn't want to sort of, get that news out there before her presentation here at Ascend. So we decided to wait on that, but we may be able to post that on the website as well. Also, for the upcoming issue, they're providing a case study of Yahoo Japan, which Yahoo is very popular in Japan, sort of almost like Google to us. And so they will be sharing a case study. And as it turns out, in Japan, there are many companies now that are coming rather late to the cloud concept. They've been extremely reticent to, from a security standpoint, to try something where they might get hacked easily or whatever. They're sitting right on the edge of China, Russia, and North Korea. So you can imagine Japan has always been very, very extra conscious, and being a culture that was never colonized by the West, perhaps their devotion to a certain amount of isolation has kept them protected from a lot of the other woes that other Asian countries have suffered over the past centuries from colonization. So understandably, they've been slower at picking up on some of the world trends. However, now, and what they usually do, this is very typical, they'll wait and wait and wait and watch what others are doing, and then suddenly they'll become the best at it. So you've seen what they're doing in robotics, for example. So I think that there's probably a real opportunity for Oracle to gain a larger foothold in Japan by having been there for a very long time. Oracle's been in Japan for 30 years now. So I think finally, and this was corroborated by my conversations with the team in Japan, yes, finally, the Japanese companies are opening up to working with American or overseas software platforms much more than they ever have before. So it's been very interesting working with them. And of course, there's a huge time difference that's a bit limiting. Also, that we can't really get there that easily. It requires, Japan is one of the cultures that requires a lot of long nights, dinners, and lots of sake and a lot of talk before anything really happens. And that's part of the relationship building that's necessary. However, once in and once things start happening, it's really anyone's guess as to how high it can go. Thank you all. I feel so fortunate to have been able to speak with some of you and hopefully get to know even more of you during the rest of this year. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow and have a wonderful conference.